Hello, everyone. Welcome to a 10 to 20 with Tanya. I'm Tanya, and today we're going to talk about one of the most important things you need to be doing in your practice routine for learning English. We're going to talk about going back to learn more. So, what do I mean by that? That's what I want to talk about. But first, I want to remind you that if you have a question, put it in the chat here. And while we're getting started, tell me where you're listening from. Hi, Agnes. Hi, Ali. Hi, Rennie. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. So, one of the biggest mistakes I see students doing, and I also do this in my second language learning practice, which is that once we have learned something, I'm going like this because we think we've learned something when we've seen it once or we've studied it once. But what really happens is when we study it one time or read it once or hear it once, our brain goes, okay, and makes a very limited, shall we say, connection. But in order to remember this, we want our brain to start to really hang on to this connection. And to create this stronger connection, we need to see this, read it, use it, write with it more than one time. So I want you to kind of think of shooting for, when we say to shoot for something, make it your goal to use a new word or phrase or idea or concept or grammar rule in English at least 10 times. And I know that might seem like a lot. So tell me, does that seem like too much? Does that seem overwhelming or stressful to you? Tell me in the comments. Hey, Jeff, good to see you. Hamid, good to see you. Yusuf, hello. Mona, it's good to see everyone. It's your first time here, Mona. Welcome. Get to know the other students in the comments because we have some regulars, we have some new people here. I want to know what your thoughts about this are, and I want to know what your questions about this are. So write your thoughts and your questions in the chat. Thank you for the hearts that you're sending. And if you're watching the recording, put your questions in the comments and tell me what your thoughts are. And if you want to see the chat that I'm talking about here, make the picture on your screen a little smaller so you can see the live chat over here. So let's take an example. Today on my Instagram, I was talking about the word frenzy. I'm going to put it in the chat here. Frenzy. Did you see my post on Instagram about the word frenzy? Write yes or no in the chat so I'll know who I'm talking to here. Nazardine, welcome from Egypt. It's great to have you here. So, if you saw the word frenzy on Instagram today, you know that it means that, well, let me tell you, the phrase we often use this word in is to run. Everyone is running around in a frenzy. In a frenzy is a very common phrase. And it means that everyone is nervous or anxious while at the same time being excited about something. So, now, today, here in Southern California, we are expecting our first ever hurricane. A hurricane is a huge storm with lots of wind and rain, and they can be quite dangerous, but they can also be fascinating or exciting. And that's why everyone is in a frenzy. They're trying to get ready, they don't know what's going to happen. And then other people are kind of ignoring it. So, people other than that are nervous about that because we know that people will get hurt and it could be very dangerous. Espy, we're going to see what Espy thinks. Come here. Come tell us. Come here. Come here. So Espy has been kind of quiet today, but here she is. She got a bath yesterday. I'm going to look and see what your comments are. Hamid asks for a definition of frenzy again. So if you are in a frenzy, you feel nervous and maybe anxious And maybe at the same time, you feel excited about something. So let's say you're going on a long trip. You might be in a frenzy getting ready. Everybody's getting ready in your family. Everybody's packing clothing. They're excited. They're nervous about the flight or the drive to wherever you're going. You're not sure what's going to happen. It's something new. You could be in a frenzy about something like this, very positive, a trip, a vacation, traveling somewhere. You could be in a frenzy like we are here in Southern California over a big hurricane that's coming. Have you heard about Hurricane Hillary? That's what they're calling this hurricane. Have you heard the news about this hurricane coming to Southern California? I'm curious if you've heard. If you've heard, write in the comments, I heard. If you didn't, write, I didn't hear. I'm not seeing a lot of comments today. Everybody is busy or tired, or you don't feel like writing. That's okay. So I bring up frenzy to give you an example. Here, no, not you. Your job is to be quiet. uh, you're here on YouTube with me, learning about how important it is to review the things you've already learned so that you can have stronger English. And I'm going to tell you why here in a minute after I show you how. And you hear the word frenzy. If you already heard it this morning or earlier on Instagram, and this is your second time to hear it, then on you're already started reviewing what you heard earlier. Now, the next thing is to write about it. I want you to write a sentence using the phrase in a frenzy in the comments. And while you do that, I'm going to see. Hi, Esther says it's her second time here. Great to see you, Esther. And Holly Zach says that they heard about the hurricane. We're calling Hurricane Hillary. Yes, it's big news in all of the United States and especially here in Southern California. This is Pippa. Pippa, look. Pippa, look up here. Pippa loves these treats. I can't see that I give to Espy, even though they're dog treats. Ah, Gloria says that she has heard it. Hey, Gloria, good to see you. Shaswar, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name correctly. What's up? We're talking about learning vocabulary in a better way and the word frenzy. I'm going to put it here in the phrase, in a frenzy. And I'm asking everyone, frenzy, to write a sample sentence. So I'm going to write my sample sentence, and I want you to use this same sentence or a totally different one and just put your information in. So if you're here in Southern California, you could use a different sentence, but if you're not, you can use this same sentence in a different way. In California, we are all in a frenzy because of the coming hurricane. Now you can use the same the same sentence, but put a different reason why you might be in a frenzy. You could be in a frenzy because you're running late to get to work. Or, like I said, you're going to do something exciting, new, or different, like going on vacation. Or it could be a new job, a new relationship, a new hobby, a new anything. You could be in a frenzy because you told somebody you would do something and you haven't done it yet and you need to get it done. There are many reasons you could be in a frenzy. You tell me, when was the last time that you were in a frenzy? Okay, so let me tell you why it's so important to review. I said earlier in the video, when you hear a word like the word frenzy once, your brain makes a connection, but it's not a strong connection. After it hears it again, it makes that connection again, and it starts to be like, okay, I've heard this before. We need to make this connection a little stronger. But after you've heard it several times, then your brain starts to make a stronger connection. So here is the moral of today's video. The more you practice what you already know, the stronger your English will be. Then the more you can learn because you have created these very strong connections, and then your brain can make more strong connections. If you have a lot of weak connections, your body, or pardon me, your brain is looking for connections and it can't find them. I have experienced this. I'm sure you have too. That's when you can't remember a word, and then you're in a frenzy looking for that word. And you're thinking, "What was that word I wanted? What was that word I wanted?" Whereas if you build these strong connections, then your brain knows those connections already and can move on to learn new things. Does this make sense to you? Give me a thumbs up or a heart or a smiley face. Okay, Agnes says, I'm in a frenzy because of being sick after the holidays. Yes, after you're sick, you're often in a frenzy because there's so many things to get done that you didn't get done when you were sick. Um, Shaswar says, "Can you break it down? I mean its meaning." Yes, I'm going to write it here. To be in a frenzy is to feel anxious, nervous, and excited. You are probably moving around, doing a lot of things, or here in Southern California, everyone's talking about the hurricane coming. We're all in a frenzy. Jeff says, because of the women's soccer final game, fans are in a frenzy. The fans are all nervous about the game. They're excited. They can't wait to see what's going to happen next, but they're also a little nervous or anxious about it because they want so badly to win, but they will be very disappointed if they don't win. So, already today, we've used this word several times. Now, I said you need to have contact or use with this word or phrase at least 10 times. Doing it several times at once is good, but it's not the same time as pardon me, it's not the same thing as spacing it out. So you are gonna want to go to Instagram and see what I said about being in a frenzy there. Not today, maybe later today or tomorrow. It will be gone after 20 hours, just so you know, because it's in my stories. Um, pardon me, later this week, maybe Monday, maybe Wednesday, think about frenzy again. Maybe look it up in the dictionary. Maybe tell a friend about what you learned here on this video. Tell them all the different examples you can remember. If you forgot, come watch the video again and look at it and then tell a different friend. You want to space this learning out. The main message I want to give you is to understand that when you're practicing your speaking and your writing, especially, if you're writing and speaking about things that seem basic or repetitive to you, don't worry. Think about your native language. How many times have you written the same words or phrases over and over? Thousands, millions of times. This is why it's natural for you. You can speak it easily because you use it all the time. And you want to start to replicate that in your English. Replicate means you want to copy it. You want to make the same thing in your English. So this is why on all of my videos and all of what I'm teaching you, especially when it comes to best practices, I talk a lot about repetition, repeating, and spacing it out. These two things are so important, but it's sometimes a little difficult to understand. And I know from personal experience when I'm practicing my second language, Spanish, especially when I'm speaking with myself, I notice, oh, I'm saying the same thing I said yesterday and the day before. But here's the thing. Even though I know that's important, sometimes I forget how important it is and I feel like I'm not making any progress. But I know that I am. And so I want you to know that you are making progress every single time you use your English, especially when you are using it for writing or speaking. And why do I go like this? Because in writing or speaking, we have to think about what we want to say or write and then say it. It's output. Input would be reading or listening, which are also very good and important. That's what you're doing here. Everyone who's listening is getting input. Everyone who is writing comments or examples, especially examples, is getting output. So I suggest you write something using the word frenzy or to be in a frenzy. I'm going to see if I missed any comments here or questions. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. We have just a couple of minutes. One common question that I get is, if I write about this and I make a mistake, won't that make it worse? No. You would have to practice that same mistake over and over and over and over before it would be a problem. So, what are the mistakes to look out for? The mistakes you want to find are the mistakes you make again and again and again and again. For example, I've had a student who has overcome this mistake who always would say people is. They would say people is doing something. We don't say people is, we say people are. Now, because this student was saying the same mistake again and again, I focused on helping them change that mistake because practicing the same mistake over and over will lead to a mistake that is set for you, a mistake that you will have a hard time overcoming. But if you make different mistakes about different things all the time, we don't need to worry about those so much. Do we want to correct them? Yes. But this is a big but. Yes, we want to correct those mistakes, but we want to spend a lot more time practicing than worrying about mistakes. Why? Because it builds muscles, it builds a base. And the way we learn is like building blocks. So you get these blocks of understanding and then you put other blocks of understanding on top of them. And the way you get these blocks is to practice it a lot. Okay, I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to wrap it up here and tell you thank you for being here today. Be sure to like and comment. Be sure to go watch the I'm thinking in Spanish all of a sudden, the recorded version of this video. And if you're interested about how you can learn on Zoom with me live, be sure to check out our website at englishcoach3ts.com. And I'll see you all in class. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.